Good morning and welcome to Frontiers of Knowledge segment of Dr. Lamba's Awakening Call. Cancer is horrible and the impact and the epidemic dimensions of cancer are increasing. But so is the scientific world not only bent on identifying the causes but also in providing the treatments. Brain cancer is one of the most shocking cancers, and till now there has been no positive treatment. However, one company, Bristol Myers Squibb, yesterday, that's last week, only stated that they've spent $74 billion to find out a treatment for the brain cancer. And the treatment liposcell is a new type of immunotherapy known as CAR T cell therapy. Now, it's an interesting treatment. There's no radiation, there's no medication, there's no surgery. And the three dose levels of liposcell in 269 patients with relapsed brain cancer has shown an upward positive results. And the University of Cincinnati and Johns Hopkins have developed the electrosomal fiber. And this fiber is implanted in brain and a cocktail used to be supplied. Now, lysocell would be supplied over there, and that's the simple thing. They take the cell from the brain itself and then composed of the several types of materials implant it back. And this cell would recognize and attack cancer cells, and voila, the patient would be better. Not fully cured, but it's hoped that with the passage of time, they'll be further able to add materials to this lysocell, which can cure the cancer absolutely clearly. Now, what happens is that it's implanted in the brain surgically from a long-term local therapy. And it doesn't have to be removed. It's biodegradable. It's a nanomesh with polycarbonate material, with polymers, slow-acting cell, diffuses, controls the tumor growth. And one thing more is very important to consider, that is non-toxic. Usually, all medication has very serious side effects. But this lysosome treatment with a biodegradable elimination has a potential to add current standards of care for the brain cancers and is likely to be revolutionary. How it folds out is yet to be seen, but really it is a great development, and I salute the medical company which has spent $74 billion, Johns Hopkins Institute, University of Cincinnati, for this cooperative effort. Well, that's a treatment. But then another problem that is facing is a breast cancer for the ladies. Women suffer breast cancer. And now a research has been published. It was published in the latest journal of the cancer research, International Journal of Cancer. And it is shocking to know that the hair dyes and hair straighteners raise the risk of the breast cancer, and especially so for the colored people. Now, colored people, whether they are black or brown, are very fond of looking blondes. How stupid it is. The black color, the brown color have their own charm, but they won't have to look blonde, ape the Western idea. They'll put the blue contact lenses to appear blue, hair dye blonde, and then fair creams for whitening their skins. Anyway, and then the second thing they use is a hair straightener. The people with the curly hair have a natural charm of their own, but no, many people want to have the straight hair, especially women. And then they use hair dyes for getting blonde and hair straighteners to have long, straight hair. And the results are that they are very, very good fields for the growth of the breast cancer. And the people who use it frequently, the hair dyes, are likely to suffer more. 60% of the research shows that 60% of people who use the hair straighteners and hair dyes have had attack of the breast cancer. And this the result is different for the different people, ethnic and the racial backgrounds, variation of the hair texture, amount of the dye, and absorbed through the skin. Now, these dyes are very harmful, you know that, and they are absorbed through the skin, causing cancer. Afro American women and Indian women, especially from South India, are much more likely than the white people to use hair straighteners. The research has noted, and the hair dyes, of course. So this may not be the only cause, but it's a major cause, and that's a matter for worry. And now something very interesting. We know that the sea water is very salty. We can't even drink it. But for centuries, even Darwin couldn't make sense that the tropical waters contain so few nutrients. They have a lot of chemicals. Brine has a lot of chemicals, but there's no nutrient element, and you can sight through it. And yet, the coral reefs support a quarter of the all known species of the life. The sea species, the coral, the reefs, the marine life is more than 25% of the total world species. How can that be? How can they live in water? The result is that sea water, ocean stays tasty, but shaken, stirred, and dissolved in this salty water is a lot of sugar. Sugar and carbs. And they are the most organic material in the ocean, but the taste doesn't look like that. And the University of California Academy of Sciences has covered this, that nobody can use this, but these animals, especially this filter feeding coral and the young sponges that live in the Indian and the Pacific Ocean, they are straining the plankton to eat it as it sits in the water. But its filtering cells also provide sugar. So they have a filtering cell, and the water, when it comes, they filter it, take sugar from the seawater, and then they're able to live this organism. And very few organisms can directly take sugar from the seawater, but these organisms can. And now one thing very interesting. This sugar is so pure and organic that it doesn't raise your blood sugar level. If human beings could have that capability of filtering, which sea feeding sponges have, and who knows, this might be an incentive to some scientists to develop that capability so that sugar can be extracted from the seawater and used by the human being. That would be that quite interesting. And let's see. And now let's come again to the most puzzling, most disturbing thing, that is green energy, which is not from the fossil fuels and which is not from the nuclear energy, because nuclear can be dangerous. So Now we have got blue energy. Don't be shocked. Blue energy is a huge potential according to the scientists. And that blue energy is the greenest of the green energies. It uses the chemical differences between the fresh and the salt water to generate electricity. When the rivers, which are full of fresh water, because they are not salty like the seawater is, though seawater has salt in it, when they combine, that is the time when a postage stamp membrane in an affordable fashion can provide carbon-free energy to the millions of people, and is especially in the coastal areas where the freshwater rivers meet the ocean. It is impressive. And in South Korea, Pohang University of Science and Technology, they have developed it, and they have been successful. And according to the scientists, rivers dump 37,000 cubic kilometers of fresh water into ocean every year. And this combination, this sangam as the Indians would call it, of the fresh water and the seawater, has capability of giving 2.6 tetrawatt according to an estimate, and that is energy which can be generated by 2,000 nuclear power plants. Imagine the production of 2,000 nuclear power plants, enough to give to the whole world energy, can be generated on the coastal areas by using the energy created by the membrane, which converts the mixing of the fresh water and the seawater and the ions created by that. And what it depends on, all this energy relies on the fact that salts are composed of ions and chemicals that harbor both a positive and a negative charge. In solids, the positive and negative charge attack each other, binding the ions. Table salt, for example. In water, these ions detach and move independently. So if they're together, then they're bound. But now the scientists say that when you pump the positive ions like sodium and potassium, and on one side of the membrane, which is postage stamp size only. So there are two pools of water. One is a positive charge from the fresh water and the negative charge from the salt water. And then they dunk the electrodes in the pools, connect them with a void. Voila, the energy is there. Are you not amazed? As a matter of fact, in 2013, a French scientist had made such a membrane, and now that is made of silicon nitride used for cutting tools and other things. And the same capability is now being used here. So they are going to develop postage stamp films that are impossible to be made till now with the help of nanotechnology. And these long, thin membranes, interconnected, would be placed at the junction of the joint, and then the energy created will be fed into the storage cells or to the pool and supplied to the coastal towns. And I was reading this that the PhD student at Rutgers University has also done the same thing, but that is yet not tested. It's on a lab he has done it. But this South Korean university, they have developed it, and they say it can be done within a matter of a year or so. And in 2020, they plan that the South Korean coastal areas would be using the blue energy. And now the last thing, pacemakers have a problem. They use the battery runs out, and they have to be surgically replaced practically every 5 years or so. That is okay, but what happens is when they plant the pacemaker, the fibrotic tissues grow around the pacemaker, and the layers of tissue become so thick that the removal process is difficult now. So now, Switzerland's Zurich Research Center has created a new pouch-like membrane. So when you place a pacemaker in the heart, in the body, you cover it with that pouch and place it around the pacemaker before implantation. And this is made of cellulose fibers. So what happens? The membranous fibrous microstructure would stop the deposit of the fibroids, and the people would be able to have their pacemaker removed without any danger. Quite a improvement and quite a boon to those who use pacemakers. So science keeps on marching forward, taking quantum jumps, whether in cancer treatment, whether to the blue energy, which is the finest form of the green energy, or for the cardiac patients. And these frontiers of knowledge being enhanced every day add to the hope that life might still be worth living. And more on this when we meet next week, same time. Thank you.